Okay, for 55 from the geometry homework, the question says it is given that PQRS is a parallelogram. Graph parallelogram PQRS and decide whether it's a rectangle, a rhombus, a square, none of the above. In this case, I don't want you to graph it. I want you to use the slope and distance formulas and then one of the theorems about quadrilaterals to prove or to show, demonstrate that it's either a rectangle, rhombus, square, none of the above. So if you take a quick look here, it's a slope and distance formulas. Hopefully you see the similarities. Slope m is equal to rise over run, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This same y2 minus y1 appears here in the distance formula. In the distance formula, we square that quantity as we do the run, the x2 minus x1. We add their sums and take the square root. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the the slope of all four sides. And we're going to see, one, if opposite sides are parallel, they should be, just to make sure. And then we're going to see that if consecutive sides are perpendicular, that we're dealing with a rectangle or a square, if not, possibly a rhombus or none of the above. So, as we see here, the first thing we'll do is we'll find the slope of PQ. Slope of PQ, y2 minus y1, negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4, x2 minus x1, 3 minus 3 is 0. Let's find the slope of QR. Negative 3 minus a negative 3 is negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Negative 2 minus 3 is a negative 5. We're going to find the slope of SR. Not that this would matter, we'll do RS just to stay consistent. We have RS, 1 minus a negative 3 is 4, negative 2 minus a negative 2 would be negative 2 plus 2, which would be 0. And then we're going to find the slope of SP, 1 minus 1 is 0, over negative 2 minus 3 is a negative 5. Okay, so what we have here is for the slope of both PQ and RS. If you look at these, you might think, well, one's negative and one's positive. In all actuality, these are undefined. Anything divided by 0 is undefined. So this is equivalent to 4 over 0. It's equivalent to 1 divided by 0. So this is undefined, and this is undefined as well. So these are, in fact, parallel. This 0 divided by anything is actually equal to 0. 0 divided by anything is 0, so these are, in fact, parallel. Now, this is kind of a tough part here. As you look at these, negative 4 over 0 and positive 4 over 0 can actually be written as 1 over 0 or negative 1 over 0. Because keep in mind, negative 4 divided by 0 is undefined, and so is 1 divided by 0. Here, 0 divided by negative 5 could also be written as 0 over negative 1. These are all equivalent. So not only are opposite sides parallel, in fact, all of these consecutive sides are perpendicular because these are, in fact, opposite reciprocals. Anything that's undefined, anything that has a slope that's undefined, is always going to be perpendicular to something that has a slope of 0. If the slope is undefined, this is actually a vertical line, and this is actually a horizontal line. And horizontal and vertical lines will always intersect to form right angles or be perpendicular. So what we're dealing with is we're dealing with a parallelogram that has 4 right angles. So we know we're dealing with either a square or a rectangle. To determine which one, we have to see if all 4 sides are congruent. To see if they're congruent, we're going to find the lengths of PQ, QR, RS, and SP. Remember, the distance formula, y2 minus y1 squared. Now, the non-reduced form, negative 4 would be y2 minus y1 squared, so we would square a negative 4 plus 0 squared. So this is going to equal the square root of 16, or just 4. For QR, we have the square root of 0 squared plus a negative 5 squared, or just 5. For RS, it's going to be the same as PQ. We're going to have 4 squared plus 0 squared, which is 4. In SP, we're going to have the square root of 0 squared plus a negative 5 squared, or just 5. So what we're dealing with is a rectangle, okay? And again, the reason being is we have 4 right angles. The reason we have that is because consecutive sides are perpendicular. Vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. So we have 4 right angles. However, we do not have 4 congruent sides. We have opposite sides congruent, but not all 4 congruent sides. So we're dealing with a rectangle, not a square. Now this is one option or one method for proving this using both the slope and distance formulas of the sides. We can also find the slope and distance of the diagonals, which is a little bit shorter. And if you want to see that, I will show how to do that on question 57, and I'll post that video as well. We will definitely go over this tomorrow. That's why I did not want you to put it in your notebook yet, just because I'm sure there are still a lot of questions. Please ask tomorrow and we'll get those straightened out. And once it's straightened out, we'll put one of these examples in the notebook for you to refer to.